Devo Maheshwaraha. That is, he is also known as the Maheshwara, that is Shiva, or the destroyer. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, meaning Guru is supreme, God or Almighty, who is showing us the path to light. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. That is, we bow down to such a Guru, since such as realized soul, God is the embodiment of Parabrahma, or the ultimate Godhead. With this, I offer my most humble pranams at the lotus feet of all my gurus who taught and they continue to teach me the values of life, the virtues of life. And I extend my warm salutations to the August gathering here. So, good afternoon, all Toastmasters. Very lovely afternoon to all of you. And as the saying goes in Sanskrit, which is often quoted in Hinduism, Mata, Pita, Guru, Deva. So it is in this order that we should offer reverence. So mother comes first as she shares the whole body, and for we resided in her for months before being introduced to this world. Father is also equally important since he is the first man whom we look up to as leaders or who we look up to as our role models. Then comes our gurus who impart us knowledge under huge tutelage. So we are taught the what, which, and who of life. And God is always kept at the last since it's not the easiest task for anybody on this planet to realize Him since He is the ultimate conscience. So my view on leadership today is a little different because I go back to the medieval times and pick up a few nuances and important nuances which will help improve ourselves as well as others in our surrounding, thereby making our society a better place to live in. Leadership, I believe, is idealism in action. It should be realized through the body, mind, and Atma. And body, mind, Atma together constitute the human being. The first body, the first, that is the body which concerns the action. The second, which relates to your cognitive ability, there is a mind. And the third, which relates to the being. So action, cognition, and being together make up humaneness. In this world, whatever a man wants to achieve, the first requisite is the body. And anything can be accomplished only through the body. So the body is therefore identified with action. And to determine what is good, what is bad, what is true, what is false, what is right, what is wrong. So that is the discriminating capacity, the cognitive ability of the mind. So mind is the instrument of cognition. And then comes the Atmic principle, the soul, the Atma, which is not subject to change and is firmly established in the truth. So the unified expression of these, that is body, mind, and Atma, is called Sat Chit Ananda. So Sat is that which is, and the principle which enables us to comprehend the physical, the mundane, the supramundane, and the scientific is called Chit. And when Sat and Chit meet together, then there is Ananda, there is bliss. And instead of experiencing this unity, man is only concerned about the body, then he descends to the animal state. Animality is the state in which the body is associated with the mind or the Atma, and it turns demonic by its subjection to only the body. And adherence to truth, control of the senses, equanimity, forbearance, compassion are like 5 life breaths of a man. And if these 5 life sustaining quantities are to sanctify a man's life, it is essential to maintain purity in thought, word, and deed. So you should be having whatever you think, you should be able to say, and whatever you say, you should be able to do it. So this unity between thought and word and deed is known as Trikarna Shuddhi. In addition, one aspiring to be a leader, I believe, should also possess 3 types of knowledge. One is the self-knowledge, that is knowledge of his strengths and weaknesses. 2, knowledges with respect to his field of work. And 3, knowledge with respect to the social environment. So he should be leading from the front rather than from the rear and must be courageous. And only the person who practices Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, and Ahimsa, that is truth, righteousness, then peace, love, and non-violence, experiences joys from these and is able to share with the others also, can be known as a true leader. Again, quoting it from the medieval beliefs and systems. In addition to these qualities, a good leader should be selfless and they must be imbued with also the spirit of sacrifice, that is Tyaga. You should only have the people's welfare at heart. A leader is one who gives up all his ideas of possessiveness, strives only for the well being of our very own father of the nation, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, being the prime example. Now, there is a cyclical nature to this human development, an eternal cycle of creation or destruction, and a cycle from order to chaos, and a cycle from the creation to the destruction. As per the Puranas, these aeons or the ages are called as yugas. And as you all will be knowing, there are four types of yugas: the Satyuga, the Treta Yuga, the Dwapar Yuga, and the Kali Yuga. I'll come back to you why I'm actually talking about this. So, this Satyuga is where the religious principles are practiced to the full without any deviation. Then depravity, ignorance, then selfishness, discrimination, these are all not there. So vice and ignorance are practically non-existent. In Treta Yuga, however, vice appears, the mode of passion becomes predominant and only three-quarters of religious principles remain. People are devoted to their duties, but there are ulterior motives and they seek prestige. They start seeking personal prestige. In Dwapara Yuga, only half of the religious principles are remaining, and the bad qualities are starting to actually take more prominence over here. And fourth is the Kali Yuga. That is, only one-fourth of the religious principles remain, which continue to diminish. Hypocrisy and vice flourish. People are quarrelsome, they are lazy, they are misguided, unlucky, and always disturbed with violence. So we are in this current age of Kali Yuga. And we, being the prospective young leaders, in order to improve our lives as well as those of the others, must assume responsible roles and become instruments in serving the society. And man can able to discharge his duties only when he understands the true significance of humanness. So finally, what I believe is we should always have the head of the Adi Shankara. That is the heart of Buddha, and then the heart of Buddha, and then the hands of Janaka. Why the head of Adi Shankara? So that we can have fundamental discrimination instead of individual discrimination. Why the heart of Buddha? Because we should have a heart full of compassion and love that does not tolerate suffering and hurting anyone. Hands of King Janaka. King Janaka was always known to selflessly serve his kingdom, his people. So we should always have the hands of King Janaka, which should always selflessly serve to others. And just finally giving my concluding speeches, I would just like to go back to a few minutes back before the session started. I was just relating myself. I was just watching a video of Mahatriya, that is Mr. T.T. Rangarajan, and he was saying that the human body, everything that comes out of the human body stinks, whether it be our sweat, whether it be our saliva, whether it be a phlegm, whether it be our human excretion, everything actually stinks. So the only thing that can come out of our body, which is sweet, is our words. So we should use our words and we should actually initiate them. We should try to make use of our words and guide our actions and strive to make our society a much better place to live in. So if I can, if you can, then I believe together we can. So with these, I would just like to take leave.
What a wonderful speech. Can I have everyone on the screen and give a round of applause for Toastmaster Siddharth for giving his icebreaker speech? An enlightened speech, Toastmaster Siddharth. Wonderfully drafted, wonderfully executed, and wonderfully communicated to all the team members. So it's been a privilege for